Good morning, everybody. Okay, that sounded quite loud. Oh, look, there's someone over my shoulder as well.
G'day, guys.
We're both here. It's the Laurel and Hardy Show, is what Chip called it just a moment ago. Before we get into anything else, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. So, thank you for coming along. Oh, I saw Sion is here and he's about to do some pick and placing. Yes, Chip is here. Hey, some call it fun, mad techie, DIY in the ghetto. I was going to say hello to Outside the Box, but like, he's there. He's also in the chat. Stephen W, Chris is here. So, good to see you all. Who do we have? How many do we have? We've got we've got 30 people on at the moment.
Isn't that my job to be monitoring those sorts of details?
Yes. So the thing is that my plan for today is to, and also just first to check, are you getting audio coming through fine from both of us? Because I've never actually done this before. I've got the Rode Go dual microphone system. So I'm wearing one mic, Chip is wearing the other, and yeah, he's inside the box, that's right. The call is coming from inside the house. So we've got both our microphones going into the same source. Awesome. Thanks, Sion. Thanks, Tony. Got your lunch, Andrew? Wow, you're ready early. All I've got is a bottle of water. All right. So Sion is going to be pick and placing. With luck, we are going to be pick and placing. But on Mick or Make It, we're not going to be doing it on the KO today.
Peter's already on the go.
Oh, Peter! He's at lunchtime.
I missed you, Peter.
Yes, I've missed Peter. Okay, it says to say something, so I'm saying something. Right.
Sorry, I've got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so my plan for today is I've got hang on. I've got this. This is the PCB, the carrier PCB for the IoT wireless access point. And we're going to put some parts on it and do some basic tests. I'm not going to get to the point of getting all of the software set up on the Raspberry Pi and doing that sort of side of it, getting the network running. That'll take a bit of time and fiddling around. But at least we can put some parts on the board and test that the power supply works and all those good things. So, what am I doing? Okay.
You're pressing the like button, peeps.
So I have a marketing assistant now, a promoter. Now, what? Yes, okay. I've had a couple of people ask what this is all about, and it's a project that has been ongoing for a very long time. So I will try to give the 2-minute explanation, the classic 2-minute explanation that goes for half an hour, but it won't go for half an hour. This is my attempt at making a Wi-Fi access point which can be used in a home automation system. That's the main motivation for it, without having to use the same password for every device. Because normally on a Wi-Fi network you have the SSID and you have a network password. And like in your home network, for example, your phone, your laptop, whatever, all your devices all log onto the network with the same SSID and the same password. And that is like a really primitive way of doing it. It's like, imagine you worked in a company and every single person's email account had the same password. Different accounts, but same password, and everybody knew it. And then someone leaves the company. What do? Change everybody's password? Same situation with Wi-Fi. If you have someone that leaves and you don't want them to be able to pull up outside the building and just log into your network, you need to change your Wi-Fi password, which means that every single person that is using it, every device that is using it, then needs to be updated with the new password, which totally sucks. So that problem is solved in the enterprise environment using techniques like PEEP, which is using pre-shared keys and certificates and different things. So what you can do is have credentials issued to a device. The device can log into the network, but it's different credentials for every device. The big problem is that simple IoT devices like Sonoffs and typical things that you would have around your house don't support that enterprise level of encryption. And so you have this problem where all of these low-end devices, and typically they're devices that just support 2.4 gigahertz, they often don't support 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Yeah, Hunter 2, I use that as the password for everything. And so what I wanted was a way of being able to support really basic low-end devices that don't support enterprise-grade authentication, but give them all their own unique passwords. And there's a way to do it. I've been running it on a Raspberry Pi. Basically what it does is it uses filters based on MAC addresses, and then when the client logs onto the access point, it has to provide its MAC address as part of the handshaking, and it provides its credentials, like its username. So what happens is on the access point side, it looks at the MAC address and references that in a list and checks the password against the list. So instead of having a general network password for your entire Wi-Fi network, you issue passwords per device. So as I said, I've had that running on a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, I think it is, that I was running it on. And I just wanted to make something a little bit more like a proper access point rather than a Raspberry Pi just sort of hanging off a wall somewhere. So that is the reason for messing around with this and making a carrier for it. Now, this is going for a Raspberry Pi 0 rather than a 3, which means that I need to add Ethernet. So this part here is a WIZnet W5500, which is an Ethernet transceiver, and there's a socket here under the board. So I was talking to my friend Andy during the week about this, and he asked a very sensible question: why bother making a PCB for this? Why not just get a Raspberry Pi 3, stick it in a box, hang it on the wall or on the ceiling or whatever? And that's a very good question. Basically the thinking behind this is I wanted to put it in an enclosure that is a lot more like a wireless access point. So I've got these enclosures from SZOMK, or Shenzhen OMK, which is a big Chinese case manufacturer. These are relatively cheap, and it's a two-piece clamshell round, specifically designed for building access points. You can see that it's got a mounting place in there for a PCB, and there are holes for RJ45 connectors and other things. That screws on the top, and it's got a mounting clip. So what you can do is you put the bracket on the ceiling, the Ethernet cable comes through, and then you can just clip this on. So it's like a
smoke detector, basically.
Yeah, it looks like a big smoke detector. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. It's conceptually very similar to something like a Wi-Fi access point, but cheaper and a bit more rubbish. So certainly not the quality of a Wi-Fi thing, but I wanted to put it inside that enclosure. The problem is that to make the Raspberry Pi 3 align with all of the ports and everything that I wanted, and be able to pull out power over Ethernet and all of the other things, it's a Pi 02. Okay, so I got the label backwards. Where that came from was I just wanted a carrier board. So it's just a way of sticking the Raspberry Pi inside the enclosure, bringing the ports out where I want them, and having a nice convenient PoE. But I also wanted to support both 802. No, sorry. I wanted to support the 802.3 AF power over Ethernet, so 48 volts, and also 12 volt PoE if you just put it down the wire, or just plugging in a plug pack. So I wanted multiple options for the power sourcing. Now my 2-minute explanation has gone for 10 minutes, not the 45 minutes that Peter expected. So that's a win.
They gave me 5 minutes to start smacking you. What's the expected lifespan of the Raspberry Pi going into this? I mean, it's going to be superseded at some stage and make this a bit more difficult, or how future-proof is it?
Yeah, the Pi 02 is a reasonably recent board. The big problem is just buying them. There's so much demand that they're out of stock constantly. Oh, okay, thanks, Aaron. So I labeled it correctly, but my mouth words are not correct.
I think I'm distracting you a bit too much, John.
No, that's okay. Oh, and the other reason for doing this and putting all of this on a carrier is that I was thinking about having DIY access points at multiple locations around the home is an ideal opportunity to put other things in place as well. So one of the things that Austin suggested is adding a quick connector, and I've got that on here. If I chuck that back down there, you'll be able to see it better. So there is a spot there for a quick connector. And why is that label upside down? Oh no, it's not upside down. It's just my brain that's upside down. So it's possible to add other sensors. It also means that we could do things like use Bluetooth presence detection, so detecting phones that are in the vicinity of it for occupancy detection. We could add, we could extend this down the track. We could add LoRa and Z-Wave and whatever else comes into your head, we can customize it. So the idea is that we've got something that is, it's a wireless access point, but it can be far more than that. They can be little nodes in an automation network with all sorts of functionality. And you could stick an IR blaster in it or whatever you want. Lots and lots of different options. So, would be great to support Matter, Aaron says. Yes, that will be coming, I think. Right. How much would that affect in the future?
Yeah, I just come back to the same question. It's about future-proofing.
Oh, future-proofing. Yeah.
If you were used an older Pi rather than the current one because of available stock. Even getting older ones is hard. So basically all Pis are unobtainium at the moment. There's a site that tracks Pi availability. It's constantly scanning all of the online sellers and looking for their stock levels. And it shows you who's got them in stock, but they'll come in stock and then half an hour later they'll all be sold out. So one particular seller, like Adafruit for example, typically gets stock once a month. And once they list them on their site, within half an hour to an hour, they're all gone. So if you're not paying attention and really on the ball, you just can't get them. Yeah, hence my comment, pasties we need instead.
A pasty instead of a pie, yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear.
So, and there are other boards as well. There are other options. I've experimented with a few different ones. Wonder what the current price of second-hand RPi Boxen is. Yeah, people are selling them for more than retail, that's for sure.
Like cars, the same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how car prices have gone up.
It's causing more inflation.
Yeah, it's a bit of a circular situation. So, how we're going to do this today is I was very quickly just before RPi Lycator. Thanks, Aaron. That's the one. So just before the stream, I was very busily setting up Nickel Make It and getting it ready to go. So let's see if I can log into it.
Sorry if you want your password.
So what we're looking at here.
It's all right, you didn't.
This is a kind of roundabout thing. So this is screen capture coming off my local computer, which is connected via screen sharing to a Mac Mini, which is over on the other side of the room, which is plugged into Nickel Make It. So what we're looking at here is the live camera feed from the upper camera on the pick and place machine. And I've loaded the configuration here to put the parts on the, not all the parts, but just like the jelly bean parts on the board for the access point. So if we wanted to spin the machine over, you can see the camera updating. And if we pick a part, we can go to its location and the alignment isn't that great, but well, it's close enough. It's going to throw the parts approximately where they need to be. And then we can always tweak them a little bit. So you can see that's the alignment for C7, a 100 nanofarad capacitor, and yeah, so that should be where it's going to put it. So what we're going to do is, and also it turns out I didn't get a stencil for this board because I only ordered 5 PCBs and my expectation that this is going to work perfectly was low. I didn't think it was worth getting a stencil because it dramatically increases the shipping costs out of China, and I thought I would just stick it down with a syringe. So,
Steve,
oh,
wants to
Steve.
say hello.
Steve is here to say hello. Yeah, Steve hasn't been featured. I need to get the stand set up on the chair again. Yeah, so...
Don't want Steve thinking he's not important.
No, Steve is important. He's the star of the show. We're just his staff.
Sorry, you needed a distraction.
I'm no good at distracting myself.
You're going along far too well.
Well, what I've got to do now is get to sticking the solder paste on this with a syringe, which is going to take me a little while. So, in fact, I've just got some, or maybe I'll finish this one off. I pulled these out earlier. In fact, I should, if I'm being sensible about this, I really should grab gloves. Just to keep all...
Enlist me if you need, I can help. I'm
Yep.
here for a reason. Not sure what the reason is. But
Well, this is the bit where I'm going to be staring through the microscope and not able to see chat. So now is the time. This should actually, I hope this works out really well. So what you can do is, if you want to talk about stuff or ask
in
questions,
the background, yes, I can
stick it in the chat, and Chip
I'll
can
try and do
pass it
my
on to
bit.
me. So what I've got here is I've got a brand new, this is just leaded solder paste, brand new syringe there. I've got the old one here, which is almost finished, and I was thinking about switching over to the new one because the paste in here is getting a little bit manky, but I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to continue with that paste, and let's see if we can get the switcheroony working and drop the brightness. What is that? Ah, my microscope is not showing a live feed. It is showing pictures off the SD card for some reason. So I'm just going to turn it off and turn it back on again.
reboot.
Yeah.
Apparently Steve is a company owner and we're the
Okay.
workers. That's Henrik said that.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, we're just Steve's staff. So just get the focus, looks kind of okay. Yeah, there's something weird going on with this microscope at the moment. It's frequently freezing.
Got corrupted memory or something.
Yeah, and also you see that bounce that's happening on it? That is really quite annoying, but that's because this bench is not really well braced. I had a big two pieces of steel under my old bench. Got to get this paste flowing to really make it rigid, and this one is not really quite supported well enough. I didn't pull this paste out early enough, and it's still a little bit...
Instead of a vertical stay,
Yeah.
if you put one that's got a big bow in it, it'll probably reduce the vibration.
Pre-tension it.
Yeah, but have it going away so it doesn't hit your knees.
Yeah. I did actually put...
I want to watch this because I'm used to watching it through the camera. I want to see what it actually looks like
in real life.
Crikey, it's much smaller than it looks.
Oops. I'm just kind of smushing it around. I'm going to have to do rework on this. It'll all, once the heat from the oven gets to it, it all runs around and...
I was an electronics tech many years ago, and things have got smaller since I did it. But wow.
Well, this is this is not particularly small parts. It's only 0603s and things.
I think my eyes have got less resolution now too. They're 52 years old, and yeah.
Okay, so I've got no idea how well this is working.
Unexpected, saying the flux is separated from the metals issue. You don't want to switch to the newer paste.
Let's see.
Aaron was saying, did you manage to resolve the passing error with the ESP32 PNP bridge?
Hang on. Okay.
Two questions.
First question.
Too many at once.
Now that I've got it through to a bit more of the less exposed paste, I think it's going to be okay, Sion. So I'm just going to stick with this.
It's getting more soft.
Yeah. It was kind of dried out a bit in the nozzle because
probably need to waste a little bit at the start, eh?
Yeah, just squirt a bunch out. I'm losing where I am. There. Where am I? There. Okay. Yeah, changing to the other one. I'd have to... The thing is that I didn't get a tip. I don't know why, but when I bought the other tube, there was no tip with it. So I would have to...
That one's still serviceable, it's just not ideal, huh?
Yeah, so I would have to change tips. I grabbed another tip off another syringe this morning and chucked it in the ultrasonic cleaner, so it's still sitting in there, soaking in the flux cleaning solution, because I was anticipating having to change. And the other thing is that during the week I had a quick look around to make sure I had all the parts, and I think I've got sufficient for everything. There are a couple of parts that I don't have the exact thing, but I've got stuff that is kind of an approximate equivalent.
Sharky asks, what magnification is that set to?
Good question.
Arbitrary, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's zoom, so...
Need to put a coin in front of it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we need a little banana for scale.
I'll get a coin because everyone knows what coins look like.
Yeah, well, people in Australia will recognise the size of it.
Well, how about I go a 50-cent piece and you'll only be able to see a little bit of the Queen's nose.
Yeah, 50-cent piece would be too big, I think.
Yeah, well, 5-cent piece then, yeah. Play with that.
Okay, so here we go. This is a 5-cent coin, so most people would know how small a 5-cent coin is. They're pretty small.
Smaller than about 2/3 the size of a dime if you're in America.
I'm going to turn the brightness down. So that text that you see there, Australia.
Let's have a look at our old Queen.
That is pretty small. Our former Queen.
Yeah. I wonder how long it'll be before we start seeing King Charles.
King Charles on the coins.
It'll be weird.
Or, yeah, the crocodile hunter.
Well, I put in more than my 2 cents this time, didn't I?
You did, you put in 5 cents. I don't know if that helped with scaling. Hang on, I've got to get the brightness back up a bit now.
It's way more zoomed in than I thought, because I've been watching this stream for a while and I've seen you doing a lot of that. But
yeah, you get the impression that it's all quite large, but it's kind of not.
Yeah.
All right, so for reference, that part there is an 0603 part, which I think is 1.6 millimeters long and it's 0.8 millimeters wide. My memory may be incorrect on the dimensions of 0603 parts, but it's somewhere in that ballpark.
Where are you, Ghetto? Nickel is bigger in size than a dime in the US. Oh, is that the US nickel? Okay. Yeah.
Now this little thing up here, this part of the circuit, this is a transistor, and I put that in as a level shifter because I want to drive these WS2812 LEDs off a 3.3 volt interface.
Is this to compensate for when perhaps it's being run off 5 volts?
It's because they require 5 volt logic on their data line. And it's actually, I've got a few parts here which may not even be placed, but I'm going to put solder on them now because I don't know which ones are going to be left off. And the thing is, there are multiple generations of the WS2812, and some of them, the more recent ones, are quite happy running off 3.3 volts on the data line when you feed 5 volts on their supply line. And some aren't, and I've got some of both. So what I wanted to do was just put a level shifter on there to make sure that it is getting its proper voltage, and I don't have a part to go on that. I know that one. I don't have a quick connector. So yes, this whole process of doing this by hand is quite painful. It takes a while. a lot longer than with a stencil.
I suppose you don't really have any other option to grip it in any other manner, John, because the way you're holding it looks like it's going to be a bit hard on your hand. It's a bit tight, but if you do it any other way, it's going to wiggle too much, isn't it?
Sorry, what's going to wiggle too much?
The way you, because you've got to squeeze that tube to get the stuff out.
Oh, right, yeah. I've got to apply pressure to the top of it.
But it just makes it look awkward the way you're holding it, but I suppose there's no choice.
Yeah. Part of the other problem is that this board, so you see how I'm jiggling around at the moment, like I'm looking very unsteady. My hand is not supported. I'm not braced as I should be, so it's...
Bob Murphy asks, reflow oven or hot plate, what do you personally prefer and why?
I don't actually have a hot plate. I have several reflow ovens.
But would you would you prefer a hot plate if you could get one?
I would like a little hot plate. In fact, I've got all the parts to build one. There's a box just over on the other side of the room. What I did was there are various little hot plate projects that people have published. There's the tiny little one, I can't remember what it's called, that's sold by Adafruit that's quite popular. I wouldn't mind one of those. But you can also get heating elements. So I've got a few.
You've mentioned Adafruit a few times a day, a regular supplier, like Wes used to be.
They're a very popular.
Is Wes still around?
Sorry, who?
Wes.
Wes. I think
catalogues,
they are.
Yeah.
I am going to grab a... What am I going to grab?
Don't forget, you can get me to get you something if you need. If you want to concentrate on what you're doing, just...
I'm going to clean that off.
Point and shoot, and I'll go get stuff for you.
So,
Paul Barden was asking about Kratos or something, mentioning something about Kratos. I
yes.
don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I looked that up after the live stream last week. So I don't know how to pronounce it, if it's Kratos or Kratos. So what I've discovered is that Kratos is the protagonist in some games called God of War.
That's right. Yes, I remember now. Yes, I didn't look it up, so I don't know any more than...
Yeah.
I'll let you talk. It's your show.
That's about all I know. I've never played the game. I don't think I've ever even seen any game play. So I just looked up pictures of... I just Google image search for Kratos.
It reminds me, when I was playing Swordcraft, they were trying to get us to sort of invent or use a character, and I came up with Cthulhu, which is a rather interesting one.
Oh yeah, the classic.
Turned out not to be particularly useful as a character in Swordcraft, but I just went crazy anyway, and they all enjoyed my craziness. But then my heart started playing up, so I had to give it up.
Yeah, I think to be Kratos, I would have to spend a hell of a lot more time at the gym. Well, I would have to spend time at the gym, is more to the point, because I don't spend any at the moment. I haven't for a long time, not for 20-something years.
I've put on a couple of muscles in the last few months, but
yeah,
only little ones. But yeah, it feels good to get to the gym occasionally.
Okay, I think we are pasted up. So I'm going to chuck this on the machine. So, colouring outside the lines.
He's having a go at your accuracy, I think.
I know, it's all over the place. So, how to do this? What I'm thinking of doing is switching to my phone as a camera. So, I can take it over to the pick and place machine. So I need Droid Cam.
Are you going to use a temperature sensor on the PCB like the old one? It says do it in your ghetto.
I think there is one from memory. I'll have to have a look. Now I need to figure out how to do this. Okay, I'm going to go to
excuse me,
that, and then okay, so that's camera 4. So if I switch now to that, we should be on my phone. Okay. Woo! I moved too quickly then.
Dizzy spells.
Let it focus. Let it focus.
Dizzy spells. The phone's getting a dizzy spell.
That's better. Okay.
That's how I feel most mornings when I get up too quickly.
All right. Oh, and you can see that I've kind of cleaned up here a little bit.
I don't know if this is at all
put a
helpful,
temporary
it's a bit
shelf in
delayed.
there. Look at this. Yes, this is Inception.
I don't know, it's taking a little while for it to show, but yeah.
Right, so I'm going to stick this on a tripod.
Every now and then I'll put this in play fast mode so it catches up a little bit.
And come around here. Oh yeah, that's right, that's what I was showing. So I cleaned up little kitchenette area over there. Put a shelf in. Now let's see how we can get this into a position where...
Anything I can do to help, John?
Not right now. So there is a board sitting on the machine, but it is not pasted up. So let's get the machine out of the way.
Oh, you can just swap it in and out because it's got a locator thing.
Yeah.
What do you call that? A
little 3D printed board holder.
Yeah, but there's a name for a thing like that.
Oh, indexing? It's
well,
indexed.
I'm thinking more in terms of large manufacturing, when they build a frame or something. What do you call that?
Oh, a jig?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was my stomach gurgling. All right, what have we got to do? So I've got to turn on the feeders.
Oh, there's a vacuum pump out of a fish tank.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm running that one as the blower pump for the blow-off. And these ones under here are used for vacuum.
Well, you're telling me, but what about the rest of the world? They can't see.
They can't see, no.
No.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to get this going.
And then show people.
And then move the camera. It's probably going to totally screw up. So when I click this button, flames will probably come out. Let's see what happens. And there's going to be a fair bit of noise. Oh look, so you can see the vision working there.
Well, bear in mind you've got two microphones either side of it.
Picking that up.
People will get it in stereo.
So it's picking up the part, taking it over and sticking it on the board, hopefully somewhere approximately near where it's meant to be. And over here you can see the feed coming out of the camera, and it was doing its image-based position correction. Let's see if this one works okay. Yep, see it's found the bounding box. Oh no, it hasn't. Oh yes, it did. It did eventually. It took 2 attempts. So this is first time ever running this board, and it's all uncalibrated and just throwing it on. It's probably going to end up as a total mess, but then we can have a look at it under the microscope and nudge stuff into place where they should be with tweezers.
The boss is lurking. Look out.
We better be productive.
There's a bit of a stock take or an inspection or something going on.
Yep. It's having some trouble with the image correction, and it's because it's detecting, I think, some of the shine off the tip. Yeah, that one's failed. So I'm going to hit stop on the job. What it does then is head over to the discard area, and it tries to eject the part just in case there was something on the tip. Then just hit start and it will try again. No, but before it starts, I'm going to pull off the tip, and this is going to be super, super dodgy. I'm going to get a black Sharpie and fill in the silver bits on the nozzle, because they are showing up, they're reflecting and showing up in the up camera view, which is then screwing up the alignment correction.
Can I adjust this?
Sure.
Just to...
It's picked that piece up by its edge. I don't know what it discovered then. Oh, I know why. It's because this particular feeder, I haven't actually used this feeder since recommissioning the machine, and the position is just totally off. So let's do a little bit of recalibration on that feeder.
So that needs more work, huh?
That was the 470 ohm feeder.
Yes, Mad Techie, that vacuum pump is annoying.
It certainly is. So I'm going to send it to the the pick location and see how far off it is, and it is a fair bit off. So let's jog it across a fraction. I'm going to take it left a bit and up a bit, then capture. So what do we got? Minus 15.2 on the Z. I'm going to capture that nozzle position and give it minus 15.2. And let's see if that's any better. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. So let's start the job again and see if it picks up the part successfully this time. Much better. It was on the nozzle where it should be.
Is this friction?
Yes.
Because I found it a bit tight. I wanted to drive the camera.
Yep.
You know, I drove a TV camera at Channel 31.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, I've done some crazy jobs in the past.
Yeah. I haven't even been looking at the board to see where it's putting stuff down, so I don't know if my alignment is right. But we'll just let it do its thing for a while. Yeah, it was beyond the maximum tolerance again. So there can be a fair bit of messing around with jobs like this.
Is it possible to unlock this screen while it's working, or is that going to upset the thing?
Should be.
Because I'm thinking you can use zoom and stuff. I could get pretty cool with the camera work if you like. But that makes it a bit difficult. We need a dedicated seamless phone for that, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, with sleep turned off and all that sort. No, better still, it shouldn't be a phone. It should be an actual camera.
Yeah. I'm still fighting the friction a little bit, but that's getting better.
So typically, once I've done a what is that doing? It's really getting confused. Once I've done,
you see how I've got it zoomed in now. That makes people can have a bit of a detail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it means they can't see the whole picture. But
yeah, once I've done the first couple of boards, like with a bit of tuning, it gets a bit better. So this is the first time running this board, and first time using a couple of these feeders, and it's really having trouble.
The zoom thing, it just looks like a whole massive light down there. Can't see what it's actually doing in that section.
Oh, down here?
Yeah, it just looks like a big white spot.
How have we progressed? We're only at 17 placements so far. It's taken ages because of all these mess ups.
It's just a magic spot of light in the middle there.
Yeah. So we're at 18 of 37 placements. We're halfway through. Oh, it had some trouble with the blue LED. I suspect my blue feeder is a bit misaligned as well.
Is that the vertical line there?
That's showing the orientation of the the rotational axis.
Yeah.
That's going to screw up again. I may end up just putting that part on my hand. If this one screws up, I'm just going to disable that part in the job list. Well, things that worked. Huh, I put it down that time.
I hope you're not. I hope you guys can handle my horrible camera work.
And all the noise.
It's quite disturbing here. People aren't whinging about it though. Do you know Alex Gronakes or whatever it is? He's making his own super house thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so. He's up about there somewhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alex. He's says greets from Estonia.
Oh, Estonia! Awesome. I love Estonia.
You been there?
Yeah.
You're a lucky bugger. I don't even remember where it is.
It's just south of Finland.
Oh yeah. He's kind of doing a retrofit and making it in a sort of this vein of superhouse. This picture's gone, the screen's gone off here, so I can't zoom back out now.
Okay, that's all right.
But it's nice and closely zoomed in there.
Yep. Oh yeah, that looks good. Yeah, I haven't seen much of Estonia. Really, all I've seen is Tallinn, and Tallinn is a cool city. I'd like to go and visit and see more of it.
So how long would this take if it was not faulty at all?
It would have been done by now. So we're at 25 of 37 placements, but there's been a bit of messing around.
I might come around there and have a look from that angle, and perhaps if you unlock the phone again,
Yep.
I might get some footage of this angle. I might unclip this and go, if that's all right.
Yeah. It's that's spring loaded, so you got to push up.
Yeah.
I just push up the whole body. Yeah.
Well, that would have been a really loud noise for everybody. But
oh, it's failed on that part, so I'll get it to discard the part.
it looks pretty, but I've no idea what it's doing.
I think these parts are going to be thrown all over the board. None of them are going to be where they're meant to be. Well, they're not going to be on the pads properly anyway.
It's just gone black again, but that's all right. It's
But what I find is that doing it this way is a lot less cognitive burden than picking parts out of like a resistor kit and putting them down individually, because I don't have to look up on the overlay what each of the parts is. So what I often do is all the jelly bean parts like 10Ks and 1Ks and 100 nanofarads and stuff, I get the machine to put them on, and they'll be in a, they'll be sitting approximately on the pads, and then I can just nudge them into place. It's faster to fix the positions than to put them on from scratch.
so these little things here, if they're doing something inside that we can't see, or what are these actually doing?
You mean when it moves down like that?
Yeah, they're going up and down like a couple of fingers, and I think, what are they doing?
Yeah, what it's doing is moving the part into the focal position for the camera.
Ah.
So the camera is pointing straight up from the middle of that light ring.
Oh, that's the camera down there.
Yes, looking straight up.
And these are the bits that holding the part, and they're so small half the time I can't even see them.
That's right. So the part is on the bottom of that tip. You probably can't tell just looking at the tip.
Yeah. By the way, if my camera works crummy, it's because the phone's black. It keeps on going to sleep, and I'm just pointing it roughly in the direction.
No, don't wave it around too much.
If I get half of Jono's head, or if I wave it around too much like I have been, that's why. Not because I'm a bad cameraman, I probably am as well.
We're almost done. That was 36. This is 36 of 37. Oh, that's a transistor. That's the... Oh, no, that's screwed up. Why didn't it see that one?
Discard location. So it just gets another one if it discards, does it?
Yeah. That's it. It's done. Hooray.
So how many of them did we win?
I don't know. We're going to see.
Put it under the microscope?
Yeah, these parts are going to be all over the place.
You'll have to switch off the...
Yeah, I'll switch cameras. But first I'm going to turn off the vacuum pump so that we don't have that annoying buzzing going on in the background. That's better.
Thank you very much. Trying not to make people too dizzy.
So, I will switch cameras in just a second. Oop. Yep, that part is gone. So, what am I doing?
Switching cameras.
Switching to overhead. I think is what we want.
I'll put this down now, so not my responsibility anymore.
And I want that view, I think. Where are we? Yes, we're there. Okay.
It's gone black. Oh, it's just reset. Yeah, you got your hand in the picture. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. So, parts all over the place, but approximately where they need to be. So, normally with this stage, what I do is just sit here and tweak some part positions like this with the tweezers. I usually don't do this under the microscope, but you probably won't be able to really see what's going on if I just do it like this. So maybe I should do it under the microscope. I wonder what that part was. That was one that was not placed, like it was placed beside the pads. Wasn't even contacting. It was a bit
skew-iff, yeah.
Yeah, it was all skewed. It wasn't even touching the solder paste, so it flicked off.
I'll better check the chat now. You've got a Steve balanced up there.
Where is Steve?
Oh, he's behind you, but just don't be alarmed if he falls off.
Oh, okay.
He's actually in shot.
He's wearing a hard hat.
Peter's
so he's fine.
Saying something to Dodgy. Oh, thanks for the reminder. Okay. Have to get some bangers and beers. So, Dodgy's saying, sorry late, John. I forgot you're on today with Bathurst on. Oh.
Bathurst.
Yes, so you should be watching the cars going.
Going vroom vroom.
Have you ever been there?
Nope.
Oh. Yeah, no, it is a bit of a mecca.
Mm-hmm.
I drove my Silhouette around that track pretty hard once, and then got buggered off very quickly because it was a 40 zone.
Yeah, I'm sure that is...
Aaron's being helpful, saying the phone camera is still on and battery will be dying quickly.
That is a very good point.
Thanks, you, Aaron. Henrik's referring to nice to see fellow countrymen here. Who's he referring to? Oh, he's talking about the Estonia thing.
Yeah, Henrik is in Estonia as well.
Chris is saying camera work is great. Awesome to see the pop doing its stuff.
PNP.
Yeah, I think I probably got a bit exuberant, probably dizzyifying a little bit, but anyway. Dodgy can't hang around, he'll have to duck out around lunchtime.
Well, so do I.
Yeah.
Lunchtime for who, though?
We've got to keep an eye on the time, and I don't have a clock handy. Hang on, I've got a new phone. What does it say? Yeah, it's 12 minutes to 11. So he's going all right.
I wasn't watching the screen and I didn't realise I was drifting way off. But, yeah, way out of the field of view. So, now it's at the point where I need to start putting down the parts that are not placed by the machine.
There he goes.
There goes Steve.
Yeah, well, Steve, you've got to wear your hard hat, mate. You can't be in the office. Even if it falls off, you've got to pick it up instantly.
Which means what I need to do is I'm going to drag this up onto a different screen so that we can see it, and then go to that. So this is the... Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to quit out of Droid Cam, or my phone is going to be dead flat by the end of this.
Do you want to plug it in?
No, I won't. That's it.
What's that talking noise the pick and place machine's making?
Oh, that's the servos in the feeders. They just sort of sit there and go... No,
they get bored and chatter to each other.
Yeah, they do. So what am I looking for? T-values, and I want to go into single layer mode. So these are the values of all of the parts. So what I need to do now is come have a look through here and find out what I need to put in. What have we got? 10 nanofarad, that 100 nanofarad. Oh, that must be...
It'd be easy to get those mixed up, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, you can't tell the difference by looking at them.
So that was where the resistor's meant to be, was it?
Yeah. So what do I need? I need a 12. What I need now is a different layout for
Steve's
the
gone
camera,
back to his
so
office.
we can see the overlay plus the. Just watch your jacket on the.
Yeah, I'll get rid of it.
12.
Yeah, Steve's gone back to his office, so we can get out and play again now.
Okay. the overseer is gone. So what do I need up here? So I need a couple of 10K arrays. What I'm going to do is switch to, for this bit, just so that you can see what's going on, I'm going to switch to the microscope view, I think. Is it that? Why is that not working? That. And then I want, where's my little remote control? I want to switch to the microscope. And bring this over here. Where are we? There. Okay. So let's get some focus happening and get some resistor arrays on here. What do I want? A couple of 10K arrays, which are in the pick and place machine. So I have to go and pull them out. Pull them out of a feeder, which is kind of dodgy. Which one? It is...
Mr. Fix-It likes your beard look, he says.
Oh, okay. My Kratos look.
So a tree dropping seeds on the roof.
Yeah. We're at that season where everything is falling. Alright, so got a couple of resistor arrays. So this is the part of the job where things go slowly because I have to go and find each of the parts and dig them out of wherever they're in storage. So what have we got here? That is the 100 nanofarad capacitor.
The one on the left is
10 nanofarad. So
the middle one's 100, and then you've got the resistor on the right.
Grab out the capacitor kit. What have we got? 10 nanofarad. Okay. So that one there is 10 nanofarad. So the other thing I need to check is up here. We've got this row of parts, and you can see the positioning is not great. And I've got to find out which set of pads that was meant to be on. Let's see. Got to locate myself. 100 nanofarad goes 4.7 microfarad. So it's a 100 of 100. Okay, yeah. So this one goes on the end, and then a 4.7 microfarad goes there, which I happen to have. So
there's 100 nanofarads either side of it.
Yeah, and then what is the next one up? The
10 nanofarad.
A 10. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll grab another 10.
And then you've got a 10K resistor above that.
Yeah, that's right. That one's placed by the machine.
And then a 470 ohm resistor after that, and another one after that.
Yep, they're all ready
can't
there.
see beyond that, but
no, they're all on the board. Now that one there, 471. So that's a 470 ohm, and that one there must be that one should be a 470 ohm. So I'll grab one of those out. That is just a current limiting resistor for the LED that goes in the
this is 5 volts,
the network socket. Most of the logic on this is 3.3 volts.
So you've only got about 2 milliamps going through that lead then.
Yeah, pretty low. LEDs are very efficient, they don't take much.
No, well, especially little surface mount ones.
Yeah, so over here we've got the crystal and its capacitors, and also I think a 1 meg resistor from memory goes across that. I'm just going to take a punt and stick a 1 meg resistor.
Peter's trying to get your attention. He's referring to Steve because he's paid $5 to get the attention.
Really?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Peter. What does he need Steve to do?
Yeah, good question. I'm trying to read back. Steve is the overlord taking everything over, lots of laughs. They come from do-it-yourself in the ghetto. And then Peter Lawler's put in $5 with a big Steve under there.
Yeah.
Then Scott Miller said, Superhouse TV, dare you to try assembling it with an iron instead of a reflow. Dodgy says, so do we have firmware to go on this once it's done?
I do have a working image for the Raspberry Pi, but I highly doubt that I'm going to get to that today because it's already nearly 11 o'clock and we haven't even got the parts on the board, let alone reflowed.
Yeah, well, my concern is that Peter's dropped in $5 and a simple word for Steve. I don't know. He wants to see more of Steve, perhaps.
The Steve's Nut Fund. Ah, so
Yeah.
maybe it's lunch contribution.
Yeah, well, I'll get Steve and play with him or something. Steve gets a bit bored sitting in the office anyway.
Yeah, doesn't get much attention. What am I looking for now? So there are a bunch of...
It's a bit, the depth of field is struggling with Steve. He's getting a bit furry.
Yeah. Yeah, the focus is fixed.
It's set. Yeah, I mean it's a good camera. It's just not set to macro.
So I'm just taking it away. In fact, let's switch back to overhead camera. I think that's gonna. You don't need to see the super close up view.
Yeah, you get more of a context when you see it like that. That's still pretty good.
Yeah. Still got some idea. So at this point, what I'm doing is basically just tracking down some, looking at an overview of it and just seeing which parts are on here. I've got it. Actually, I do have to check this. I'm going to chuck this under the microscope.
Don't suppose you've ever put Steve under the microscope.
I don't believe I have.
Don't know, you might be able to zoom in on one of his hairs. Oh dear, John.
So, what I need to do is grab a few parts. The voltage regulator, that's a crystal. I think from memory that's a 25 megahertz crystal.
And where are they? Are they all here? Or?
Yeah, they're all within easy reach. Yes, there we go. So it's a 25 megahertz crystal, and that is in the oscillators box, 25 megahertz.
Yes, Peter says $5 for Steve's Nut Fund. Raphael, what system are you using for organising your bins? I notice there's a QR code on them. Oh, this is something we've discussed quite a few times in the past.
Yes.
I think over
Do you want to give
John.
the summary?
I don't think
You don't
I
have
don't
enough
think
of
I
it
can
in your head?
express it properly. Yeah, my head's a bit claggy today.
That's all right. Yeah, so those codes are called Aruco markers, and they are used for positioning in augmented reality and robotic systems. So they're not quite the same as a regular QR code or a 2D barcode. I didn't realise I didn't have the overhead camera on. They are intended for being able to tag things physically in space and then use a camera system to locate them and get the...
The orientation isn't important, I think you said.
In my case it's not, but it gives coordinates and orientation, the information you can get back from it, and an ID. So what it does is allow me to have a camera in a fixed position that points at the shelves, and then it can return a list of all of the IDs that are on the shelves and their locations. So if I want to find where something is, it'll be in an index that can be looked up.
Steve's making an inspection. He's just checking your work. And look, if I knock his hat off...
Yeah, don't knock it onto the solder paste.
You can see that he is not wearing a toupee, as you'd said. And now I really muck things up. I'm going to go away from the desk before I break something. But yes, hello Simon. I saw you said hello. I'm not sure which Simon you are, but hello, good morning. Yeah, because Dodgy was saying, I'm betting Steve is wearing a toupee and it's not real fur. It's not a toupee, but it is also not real fur. Is a Canadian squirrel, Scott says. Low stress life, so no hair loss.
No stress.
Aaron has posted an article up about Aruco makers.
Oh, cool.
Something to have a look at.
Thank you, Aaron.
And then Simon says, how hard is to place a few capacitors and a couple of ICs resistors onto a few boards? Can it be done by person without any special tools?
You can do it with just some tweezers, which is how I do it. That's the standard way of doing.
I think your comment earlier about your headspace, or you're being able to focus on different tasks. But when you were standing here, you said something, I can't remember the exact words that you used, but that was probably the most appropriate reason why.
Oh, why that question came about?
No, but I think it still answers that question. But maybe that person that, I think it might have been Simon, posted it.
Yeah. Well,
he
the
might not have
basic
been
reasoning,
here at that stage.
What I'm doing right now is a demonstration of what I was talking about. So you can just sit here with a pair of tweezers like this and all the parts and put them in place by referencing the positions in the design file. But what you're seeing is that I'm putting down like a part a minute or something, because I'm hunting around, I'm finding the parts, I'm referencing what the values are and where they go.
You wouldn't want to keep doing this. It's all right for a one-off.
You can do it as a one-off, but and it can be error prone. So doing it with the machine, even for a single board like this, it means that it gets the parts in approximately the right place, and you don't have to think about, oh, is that a 10K or a 1K, and keep cross-referencing things. So I find it really useful to use the machine, even for one-off prototypes like this, to put down the really common jelly bean parts. And then I just have to think about the extras that weren't loaded. So I'm going to grab a couple of diodes. I can see those aren't on there. Not there. It'll be the ones I'm looking for. I think I was just using, yes. So they weren't filed away back in their box. Now this is where I'm going to be slightly dodgy, because there is a snubber diode on the switch mode power supply which is meant to be rated to 5 amps, and I only have these little SS56 shotkeys which are rated to, I believe, 2 amps.
What are they actually going to be working with though? How close to the limit are they?
It'll be in the ballpark, but I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's going to go boom.
You've got to let smoke out of something every now and then.
Yeah.
Otherwise you don't get much practice at fixing things.
Live on the edge. I also need the big heavy parts. I tend to wait till last. And the very last things I put on are the high parts, like the electrolytic capacitors.
Yeah, they don't get in the way.
They get in the way, and also moving things around bumps them and they tend to fall. So just do the ones that are stable first. Begin with the low parts.
Raphael says thanks for sharing the information about Aruco Maggers. I think he's referring to Aaron's detail.
Yep.
Is there a program that you're using for scanning them?
Yes. There's an example code. Sorry,
I'm trying to feed you the questions at a
appropriate
rate
questions, yes.
that work with the hardware stuff, because I know the way your brain works. You can multitask to some degree.
Some degree. Yeah, I'm not very good at multitasking. So, Aruco markers, yes. So there is example code. There are some C programs. So there's some example C source code with the library for detecting the Aruco markers. And what I've done is I started with one of those examples and then modified it and set it up so that it would be called, how was I doing it? I was just calling it off cron. I added, was I using Python? I actually can't remember how this code works. It's a while since I looked at it.
And Nassim says hello.
Hey Nassim.
Hello Nassim. Dodgy, how could he not be stressed with Macron as PM? Yes, politics, I don't know.
French politics, right. Oh no, not French politics, it's Canadian politics we're talking about.
Mr. Fixit, yes, you just need some good tweezers and a magnifying glass.
Yes, and garden tools if you're feeling adventurous.
Aaron's saying, see article above, Raphael, I believe, was using a webcam and a Pi and custom scripts. Do you know if there's an iPhone app that can be used, or do you have to build out your own solution from Raphael?
I'm pretty sure there are example apps that will read Aruco markers just to just so you can test them and verify that they work. Now there was
Raspberry Pi 02S available.
02S. I don't even know what that is.
That's Mr. Fix-It 1952 question.
There's a 02W, but I don't know what an S is. Oh, that's... Sorry, the reason that my brain is fading is that I'm trying to work out what this part is. There was a 0805 part on the board that I knew was not a capacitor. Turns out that it's a 1 microhenry inductor.
Ah, a little 12 wire.
Yes, a little coil of wire on a, where is it? Inductors, there.
LCs. Yes, let out the magic smoke, Dodgy. Casio.
So, got the inductors here.
Is detecting Arucos in an image is relatively simple with libraries like OpenCV. The most difficult thing is to determine their relative position.
Yes, that's right. So you always need some kind of a reference, because what's going to happen is that when you process the image, you'll be able to determine where the markers are in the field of view of the image. But if you don't know where the image was taken from, it doesn't really help very much. So what I did was worked with a fixed camera position and then just did some calibration. So I worked out ranges of locations on a shelf. Sorry, this is very crackly when I'm doing this.
Scott says he does all his prototypes and light production without P&P or a reflow of them, just requires patience.
Yes.
But yeah, it depends what you're trying to achieve. And if you want to do scale, you've got to, I don't know.
Yeah, for prototyping though, he's absolutely right. You can just do it like this.
Henrik's referring to finding Squirrel a wife. And it is kind of funny, but...
Finding Steve a wife.
Well, the thing is that the mounting plinth that Steve sits on makes me debate whether he's a guy or not. Oh dear.
It's a legitimate question.
Yeah, there's a hat behind you.
Oh, okay, Mr. Fixit just clarified his question. That was Pi 2s, so the S was as in plural. No, they are really, really hard to find, is the sad, short answer.
So, going back, Mr. Fixit's got to go. His little bro just came into town with his new 1975 Mini Cooper. It's awesome. Yeah, they are awesome.
There's a, just down the road from here, 2 factories down, is a garage that specialises in rebuilding Minis.
Wow.
And because Minis are so small, they can jam them in. It's bizarre. When the roller door is open in that factory, it's like 40 Minis, and they're just jammed in like and stacked multiple levels as well. They're incredible. So every now and then, Minis go blasting up and down the street out here.
I better go check that joint out. I grew up on Roots Group cars. So yeah, my first car was an Austin 1800.
Oh, that's right.
I never ended up paying for it, and he came and took it away.
What?
I don't know, I was off on my own planet back then. I don't know if you remember me from that era. I was out there. I mean, I still am, but I like to think so anyway. Anyway, where are we?
We are looking for, at the moment what I'm doing is just looking for what parts go on.
Mr. Fixit's going out to dinner, lucky him. Yeah, so yeah, he's off. Aaron says, no, there isn't a 02W, as all 02s are wireless, and no, Mr. Fixit, no such thing as an S. And yeah, we said all of that.
Yeah.
As in the 02W is default. Mr. Fixit, that was Pi 2s, as in plural. I read it off the board. Yes, you said that.
Yep. Damn,
caps lock gets in the way. Aaron said, lots of laughs. Sorry, Mr. Fixit, I understand now. Lots of laughs. No, they're super hard to get at the moment. Aaron Knox then posted track stock availability at RPI Locator. What car is Steve driving? It'd have to be a Mini, wouldn't it? Or a Micro?
A Nano? Get him driving a tiny Pico?
It'd be an RC something or other, wouldn't it? rather than an SUV being RCUV.
Well, Andy and I have been talking about inserting a tiny Pico into Steve.
I think something needs to be done. We need to make his eyes glow or something.
Yeah,
I don't know,
exactly. It needs to be functional.
And yeah, Steve's not driving. He's sitting there on his plinth at the moment. He's in his office,
He should
technically.
be driving.
Peter,
In fact, what we could do is stick him on one of the self-driving car that I've got up on the shelf.
Peter Kyrkos, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Lost a laugh. This is faster than the machine.
Yeah, the machine was screwing up a lot.
Well, look, when the machine's in full swing and working properly, you could get 10 people doing 10 boards and it'd still be slower. So no, but this time, yes. Def Pom's Electronics Repair says, hi all. Hello, Def Poms.
Hey, Def Pom. Hey, Def Pom was streaming earlier, I think.
Yeah.
I saw Def Pom had a stream up, but I was in the process of frantically trying to get the stuff out, so I didn't get onto it.
And then I arrived to distract you even further.
Maybe Def Pom can confirm whether there was a stream this morning.
Scott Miller says, Steve used to drive a Dodge, hence the plinth hole. Yeah, okay, I'll pay that. Henrik, sorry, I just thought Steve is kind of lonely and let's say Steve typos here, man, is non-binary, so it doesn't matter how the wife looks. Really sorry, it's not a funny joke. It is funny, Henrik. It's just not politically correct, but it's funny.
Steve can be non-binary. That's fine. What am I looking for? Temperature sensors.
Do it yourself in the ghetto says Steve is one of them Chinese pickup trucks. Yeah, like Motor Car Madness or whatever. What are the Mighty Car Mods? Have you seen the little funny things they drive around?
No.
Oh, they're great, those guys. They import some really strange stuff.
Temperature sensor. There it is.
So, unexpected maker. Is that Sion?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Hello, Sion. I wouldn't put my foot down on a tiny Pico.
Like stepping on Lego.
I think I'm missing. He's probably trying to be funny or something. I don't know. Sorry, Sion. I'm just struggling to read the people keep putting comments in, and it's going further and further up the screen. I'm going to lose my place.
You're losing it.
Well, if I'm to be useful, reading everything is probably vaguely helpful.
Right, so then I need an MCP 24AA.
Aaron Knox says, no squirrels were hurt during this stream, honest. How do you know? I might have hurt him before the stream.
Somewhere just here. Where did I put it? I had...
Who is Mr. Flibble?
Oh,
Dodgy says, eyes glow like Mr. Flibble. Is that a character I don't know about? Mr. Flibble?
24...
Def Pom said, yeah, just finished. 4.5 hour stream. My golly. That's a bit of a marathon.
Yeah. Do you need a bit of a lie down now?
Dentistry says, sorry, then he says late.
Oh, Josh. Thanks for coming along.
Josh Dentistry.
So my...
yeah, you were talking to him last week too,
yes,
I think. Yeah.
So my plan was to do the unboxing of the things that I received from him, but it looks like we're not going to get to that this week. What is the time? 11:15.
He was fixing.
11:15.
He was fixing up.
He
was fixing up an old Heathkit IT7400 IC tester and a Fluke 510A AC voltage standard.
Oh, is this what the live stream was?
Def Pom was doing, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, no wonder it took 4.5 hours. And Mr. Fixit says 4.5 hours in the stream, it's a river. Yeah.
That's, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I like it. And Mr. Fixit's, g'day gang, I'm out of here. I thought he'd gone, but cheers, Mr. Fixit.
Leaving again. Oh, hopefully this footprint works.
There's a display come up on the...
There's a...
Yeah, what's that thing about the crosshair thing?
Oh, I don't know. The camera on my microscope is a bit confused.
I think it's starting to have logic issues, like it needs a new battery or something.
It needs a new camera, that's what it needs.
well, you know, if the voltages are wandering, then the logic might be starting to go out. Stephen W, before the stream isn't during the stream. Yes, okay. Yeah, I was just talking rubbish anyway.
So what are the parts do I need up there? So
Mr. Flibble is from Red Dwarf. Oh,
Really?
of course.
I don't remember Mr. Flibble.
I haven't watched all of Red Dwarf, which is a sad indictment on my personality.
I've seen all of the early seasons, but
Yeah.
wasn't there a long pause and then a reboot or something?
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never been close enough to it to really know what happened.
Yeah.
Because I never got it when it was current.
Okay, I don't need that one.
Dodgy Brothers, got a bolt. Bathurst is about to start. I'll check progress later on.
Okay, go Dodgy.
And dentistries, who's that? Justin, did you say?
Josh?
Josh says no worries.
Okay, 24. MCs,
Aaron, okay. Chip, try and ask John, did he manage to resolve the passing issue with this ESP32 PNP bridge?
The what issue?
The passing issue.
Oh, right. Okay.
You finally got onto him, Aaron.
Yes.
Aaron will be really happy now because he's been haranguing.
Short answer is no. See,
But you have looked into it.
It's a very disappointing answer. No, I actually have not looked. I haven't even turned on the KO in about 2 weeks because I got
Well,
into a
John, you're just
situation.
going to have to revise your priorities, matey.
I know. I got into a situation where I had some client work that I just kept pushing back and back and back, and
It happens.
clients were starting to get a little bit edgy, and my billable hours for the month were looking pathetic.
Yes, well, that's the
And I
point.
needed
They
to-
pay the money, they
I
pay
needed
your
to eat.
bills.
So then I had to crunch, basically, on
Hey,
client work.
I've just moused over into a corner and this thing's just requiring your password, sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's-
My password?
Well, it's gone blank because I must have put the mouse in a corner or something. Sleep corner, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it means I can't drive.
There we go. Oh, hang on. Richard. Was that a super chat from Richard?
Yeah, it's just
Wow.
while the screen was off,
Thanks, Richard.
Richard's just dropped 20 Canadian dollaroonies.
Which is about $1 million Australian. Give or take.
Yeah, I think we can retire now, John.
Yeah.
Bahamas or Koh Samui?
I'd like to travel. I want to see different places.
Oh, we can join Elon and go on his trip to Mars. Aaron says, thanks, Chip. Third time lucky, lots of laughs. I didn't think it was 3 times, but anyway.
Asking that question. Yeah. Yeah. So, background. The explanation for people who don't know, I'm working on a project which I'm calling OpenKO, which is a converter that plugs into a KO pick and place machine, and it provides a G-code interface via USB, so that the KO machine can be controlled using OpenPNP. And I've been having some issues with the response parser because the messages to and from the KO are 8 bytes of data, and with some commands it gives 1 packet response, and some commands it gives 2, and my parser is misbehaving in some situations. So, I need another diode. Where did I put those diodes? There. So the machine mostly works. Like, I can drive it around and I can pick parts out of feeders and put them on the board and all of that sort of thing. But if I try to run an actual job on it with a bunch of parts, it gets itself into a state where it gets confused. It might put down 10 or 12 parts on the board, and then it just sits there and goes up and down and doesn't actually move in the X or Y axis. And I think I know what it is, but it's just going to take time to sit there with doing some debugging and seeing what the responses are and how the parser is handling it. What else are we...
So Sion's saying that you're slack,
Yeah,
referring to the previous discussion.
yes, we know that.
Scott's saying, if Steve still drove, he couldn't afford to drive around the block now. Yeah. Daniel, referring to the previous intermediate bit, come to New Zealand regarding travel.
Oh, yes,
And
New Zealand.
Yeah.
I haven't been to New Zealand for a few years.
I've never been there, and it looks awesome. I want to
It
go check
is
out Milford.
awesome.
I want to check out Milford Sound, in
Yeah.
particular from an aviation point of view.
Yep.
Richard Perrott, Scott, referring to Scott Miller, only in an EV. If it was an ICE, he'd get to the end of the driveway. Yeah. I've driven a lot electric. I've got a Corolla now, but I drove around a Holden Volt for quite a while, and it's not pure EV, but it is pure EV until it's depleted.
Until your battery is, yes.
And yeah, I learnt quite a lot about electric stuff from that. And of course, you get dragged into every conversation because people say, oh, it's a hybrid, and well, it's all technicalities. Simon, John, can you sell some NCP 23017 small ICs?
I would rather not, because the ones I have are precious.
Yeah.
So I assume that...
100 grand each, eh?
Yeah, either 100 grand Australian or about $5 Canadian.
Yeah.
That's about right, isn't it, for the exchange rate?
Def Proms, maybe read the data and determine end of line from that rather than relying on the packet size. That is how I've done it. I'm in New Zealand. Does that make any sense to you?
It does, indeed. But that is actually getting to the heart of the issue.
Is that talking about what's going on wrong over there?
On the KO. No, that's talking about with the conversion system for the KO. So what happens is that it does send an end of line, but I'm getting at the end of each packet. So with some messages, I'm getting 2 packets back, and with some, I'm getting 1. So my little parser on the receiving end, which is looking for expected responses, is not always handling situations properly where it gets 2 packets. It'll get the first packet back and see that it's got an acceptable response and then move on with its logic. And in the meantime, the KO has now sent the second packet in response, which then ends up in the receive buffer. And then when the interpreter, or little translation layer, gets onto the next stage of its processing with its next command that it wants to send, it sends it. And then sitting there waiting for it in the receive buffer is the second packet from the previous command, and everything gets screwed up. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what's going on. So
Johnny Birkdale's on. Hello,
Yep.
he says. Now, Peter says New Zealand Air Force Museum outside Christchurch, then a couple of hours south to the Steampunk Museum in Oamaru. Yeah, it sounds like a good trip. Scott, people keep saying EVs are great. Won't agree until there's an EV that can fully replace my full-size Trailblazer. Well, I was pretty impressed, and a lot of people bagged them, but I think the Mitsubishi FEV was actually quite capable. But given its time, that competed on an almost even keel with the Volt. And by today's standards, the Volt is not a particularly good car. But when it was new, it was the latest, beyond the latest technology. When they started building them, they didn't even have batteries for them. So they stretched the limits a great deal with that. But we've come a long way in 10 or 15 years. Jono's just walked out, so it's my live stream now.
you can hear me fine, but Chip probably can't hear me. Yeah, I am. I left you talking to the audience.
That's
you can entertain
all right.
everybody for a minute. I'm just going to go and find a part, which should be.
Yeah, that's cool.
out
You take your time. Simon says, I need 10. I can only reel off 2,500. 10 of which, Simon? I'm losing context because it's way up in the chat way back that you said you wanted 10 off 10 circuit boards or something. Safety car on the first lap at Bathurst. Wow. Thank you, Graham. People keep saying steamships are great. Won't agree until it can replace my HMS Victory. Yeah, okay, Peter. Richard says, that's not that bad. Aussie buck is about 0.87 Canadian loony.
0.87.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
What's loony? Is that a joke or is that what they call it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Explain, Richard. Do It Yourself says MCP 23017 is a 16-bit 16 IO expander using I2C.
Yep.
Nice, available next month here in the US. Okay.
Should be available next month. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's a typo or I'm reading it funny. Nice, available next month here in the US.
Okay.
Maybe it needs a comma. I don't know. Johnny Bedale says, hey, Noxie. Johnny Bedale and Joe. Do It Yourself says, Johnny, man, how's it going? So we're just having a bro session.
Someone's
Scott, I've yet to see an EV with a cargo capability. Yeah, I don't want to get into EV bashing. But yeah, I tend to be erring on, I'm not a fanboy, but I tend to trying to defend them because I've lived EV. I really have. I mean, I did 11,000 Ks around Australia living in my Holden Volt. Now, it is not an EV, but it is. It's EV until it runs out of battery, then it becomes a petrol range extender. So it meant when I had 300 or 400 Ks between towns with no power points, I could keep going. And it was still very efficient. Anyway, beautiful car. When you went out there, they could still hear you out there, John. Which makes sense. The mic would go further than the...
Yeah, that's the funny thing is I could talk and everybody would hear me, but you wouldn't be able to because I was out in the back of the factory.
Johnny, man, how's it going? Who was? Yeah, he's gone back off the screen. I don't know who that was. I might scroll up and have a quick look. That's what I'm here for.
So just to explain what's going on here, this is the MCP 24AA025E48, which the name just rolls off the tongue, but it's a MAC address ROM, and I thought that I had a bunch of them on a reel, and I can't find them. At least I can't find them quickly. So the quickest solution is I grabbed this Freetronics module, which had one on it. Yes, breathe in the breathe in the flux fumes, and I've just pulled the EEPROM off it, so that I can now transplant it onto this board, because that part needs to go there.
I'm with you now, Simon. I get that you were looking for 10 by MCP 23017s. Gotcha. John survived deadly man cold this week. You just came back from the bars.
Who?
Johnny Bagdale.
Oh.
Deadly man cold. Man cold in caps, by the way. So, yeah. Defcom, maybe implementing your own circular buffer to bypass the RX buffer, so the commands go into that, and you'll pull the commands from the circular buffer in the right sequence. I've done that too.
Yes, I actually did start implementing that. That was the point at which I started thinking, I am diving down another rabbit hole here.
It's kind of like a daisy chain network sort of thing, tactic. Sort of.
Well,
old school, but anyway.
It's, sorry, I'm just thinking about orientations here. It's a way of having a queue, but it's a circular queue.
Loonie is a Canadian dollar coin.
Oh.
Okay.
I hadn't heard that term before.
Well, it might be the character that's on it or something. Maybe they got Looney Tunes for a queen.
Now, amazingly, you know, this is the sort of thing that happens when I'm assembling boards like this. I start putting parts on and it feels like I'm never going to get to the end, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at it and thinking, hang on, everything's on the board. Now, yes, I know there are some parts you can see there are missing, but those are the very last things that I put on.
And the big things, yeah.
Yeah, just the capacitors that go on here.
So at what stage do you do this through the reflow oven? Is that when
in about 1 minute.
So before the big components?
Oh, no, I'll put the big components on.
Okay.
They're only going to take a moment.
Truckler has a bit of cargo capacity. Guess it depends on how much cargo. Yeah, I was quite impressed with
Truckler.
Simone Gietz, or whatever her surname is.
Yetch.
Yeah, it was an interesting project to watch that. But yeah, I mean, look, when they get up to speed, Rivian and even Tesla and all those others, I mean, Ford are making quite a few electric trucks, but people are bagging the hell out of them for some reason. But I think it's just because people like beating up on things that they don't understand. And this is part of me trying to go in to defend the EVs, because it's newer technology and people don't understand it, so they're going to bag it. You know, like they bagged me all the way through high school because they didn't understand me. Same thing.
Okay, it is time for you to become a roving camera person again.
Okay, Scott says I could fit a semi in my driveway, but not sure if I could squeeze it into my parking on client site. Oh, geez, everything's getting in the way.
Right, so
yes, I'll put that there so you could keep an eye on the time.
you grab
We're
that.
at 11:30 right now.
And then we're going to switch to...
Now I've zoomed right out.
I've got to switch the camera view. I think it's camera 4. Yes, that one.
We are live.
So we are
At the
now
back of John.
mobile and live. And now we're going to take a walk through, going out to where the reflow oven is. And because I'm super dodgy, I don't yet have the fume extraction set up on this. And yes, there are some old boards in there that I use just to act as spacers to adjust. So select wave 2, get it out of Chinese mode and go.
That easy. Oh, it just went black again.
Yeah.
You got the thing going to sleep really easily.
Yeah, I think it's 60 seconds or something.
I put mine on 30 minutes. I can't handle it. If I could leave it to stay awake until it went flat, I would.
That's just for ventilation.
Yeah, I might poke myself out there and have a quick look. Show the people there's a world out there.
Because I don't have the fume extraction running on this.
Does this phone camera just picture, or is it audio as well?
No, it's just picture. We're taking the audio from these microphones.
Okay, so how long is that going to take?
7 minutes or so. 7 minutes.
So is there something else we can be doing?
We can come back in here and just talk to people, I suppose.
Well, we've only got half an hour, or 29 minutes left.
Yeah.
Is this a countdown timer? Well, not countdown, it's a clock.
Yeah.
So you know what's going on.
Thank you.
You've got a clock there somewhere.
I got all the stuff on the back of my head. I was wearing a hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all come off on my head.
When I went racing, I had to wear a helmet, and the helmet had been just left lying around. And every time I took it off, I just had this stuff covering me, and it was like I'd been in a crash.
Okay, switch to the front camera.
And yeah, so I had to chuck the helmet out, really. I haven't, but useless. I've got to get a new helmet if I want to go racing again.
Yeah. So there are some questions. Aaron said, hair's coming back, woohoo. No, just the...
It did look like you'd missed a spot shaving.
That was what I first thought. And then I rubbed it and it's not, no, it's all the stuff from my hoodie. DIY in the Ghetto said, does the WIZNet W5500 provide full internet to the Pi, or does it only provide IoT internet to control things through the Pi? The idea is that it is going to provide the uplink connectivity to the access point. It'll only be 100 megabit. So these access points are not going to be, it's not a replacement for something like a Wi-Fi access point. It's not the sort of thing that you would deploy if you wanted high bandwidth for devices like laptops and those sorts of devices, but it's something that should be able to support lots of low bandwidth devices like Sonoffs and temperature sensors and whatever other devices that you happen to have around your house. That's really the use case that I'm thinking of it for. It'd be nice, like ultimately what I would really like is to be able to build an access point that is performance-wise more of a competitor for something like a Wi-Fi access point, but they have they have a lot of work in the antenna design and other things as well. And my plan for these access points is to make them devices as part of the OXRS infrastructure or ecosystem, so that in the management console for an OXRS network, which includes home automation devices, you could also have your access points. And then you could do things like, on a site-wide basis, have a list of all of the users with access privileges, and you could change their passwords and have that configuration pushed out to all of the access points, so they update all automatically through the single central interface. And the nice thing about doing that through something like the OXRS management system is that we should be able to do things like link the configuration of the network, so the Wi-Fi, with the configuration of the devices. So if you've got something like a Sonoff or some other OXRS managed device, you can configure the Wi-Fi username and password on the device and have that device profile reflected in the configuration for the network. So the system could already know about the device, and you just say, yes, give this device access to Wi-Fi, and then the access points give it access. So that's the general concept. Yes, so yeah, so Defcom has just clarified about the 5500. Yeah, the 5500 is an Ethernet controller, and so it's really just a way of giving an Ethernet connection, which you can then use for anything. You could use it just for local only Ethernet, or you can go out through a gateway for a connection to the internet. Yes. So what would be really nice would be something like a Pi 0, but with onboard Ethernet. There isn't one.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, you can. You'll probably smell the now. The funny thing is that coughing out there does not make it any quieter.
No, I just realised I covered the microphone, but sorry guys.
The microphone goes with you.
Yeah, I just drank some juice and it went the wrong way.
Where are we up to? 11:37, and we've got a couple of minutes left on reflow. So we'll get to the point of probably, what do we do? I'll solder on a couple of the connectors. We should be able to test the power supply part of it, because we can at least, even without a Pi plugged in, we can plug in 12 volts or something just into the DC input, and then make sure that the voltage regulator is working. So we've got two voltage regulators. There is one which is giving 5 volts out, and that is the switch mode regulator. And then there is a linear regulator giving 3.3 volts. So the input goes into the 5 volt switch mode regulator, the output of that goes into the 3.3 volt.
Makes sense. Bit difficult to do in the other direction.
Yeah, can be done.
Does that machine go ping when it's cooked?
It does more than go ping, it makes a very loud, nasty noise. So
we should have got cold pizza and put it in it.
No, it'd be very contaminated. Stephen W. asked, was the choice not to use a USB Ethernet chip and go through to the USB breakout pads for added flexibility on the W5500? It was for familiarity. So the alternative approach, what you're talking about for other people's benefit, is, so there are a couple of different ways that you can connect something like an Ethernet controller to a microcontroller. And the way I've done it with the W5500, it's using SPI, so serial peripheral interface. It's a pretty fast connection. And the other way is through a USB connection, so you can use a USB to Wi-Fi adapter. The thing is that doing it that way is really handy if you have a device with USB ports on it. You can just plug a dongle into it and now you've got Wi-Fi. But electrically there is a lot more going on, because what you've got is the microcontroller, which then has to implement USB, and then on the other side you've got the Ethernet transceiver, which also has to implement USB. So you've got this USB layer in between the two. Whereas with this approach, it is the transceiver on SPI talking straight to the microcontroller. And it just seemed like a more direct way to do it. The other way might have benefits, I'm not sure, but I'm not that familiar with it. I haven't done it that way myself. I don't know conceptually how it works, but I've never actually designed a circuit like that. And I've used the W5500 many, many times in other projects. So I'm just super familiar with it, and that's what I'm comfortable with. All right, so Johnny Bogdahl asked, ESP32 supports Ethernet. Why didn't... Oh, hang on. I just noticed something. Okay. This is a subject I'll get back to in a minute, but I just noticed that Cable Tie, who has just arrived, and Johnny Bergdahl have little stars next to their names. That is because of YouTube memberships. I'm going to get back to that in just a second, but I'll just finish this.
That is a new thing. YouTube's always changing things.
Yeah, this other thought first. So Johnny asked a very good question, which is ESP32 supports Ethernet. Why didn't you just do that? So what I'm trying to achieve here is I want to make an access point, and the ESP32 is really good as a Wi-Fi client, and I think I'm trying to remember if there are any projects that make it an access. Well, yes, you can host as a it's used for captive portal stuff all the time for configuration, but then routing packets from there through an Ethernet interface, it's probably been done. But what's in my head is something much more flexible than that. I want a system where I can, for example, SSH into the device, change configuration on the fly. I want to be able to run other things like load other daemons. That might be something like Z-Wave, controller, a coordinator, all of those sorts of things. So I want to be able to run a whole bunch of stuff and make them flexible. I'm going to walk out. I'm going to keep talking while I walk out here because I can hear the fan has ramped up, which means that the reflow oven is getting towards the end of its cycle, and I'm just pulling the drawer open a little bit. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just pulling the drawer open to increase airflow through it. And in fact, what's the temperature? It's down to 73 degrees. It's I'm just going to turn it off, stop it now and let it sit there for a minute. Okay, so I've disabled the...
I could barely hear you, but obviously everyone else could.
Everyone else could, yeah.
It's weird.
So I've just turned off the reflow cycle.
So does it need to cool down or something, or is it just ready to go?
Yeah, I'm going to go and pick it up, but I'll do it with a pair of pliers.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do it with your bare hands. It'll still be stinking hot. All right, so that's right. What I was going to talk about?
It's 11:42.
Beg your pardon?
11:42, by the way. You're watching the time.
Cool. Thank you. So I'm just going to switch to overhead view.
Enric's asking about what PCB software you used, and is it simple? Because I wanted to say there is a new thing, Easy
EDA
Pro Edition, EDA Pro Edition. I don't know how new, but it's new to me.
Okay.
I think he referred to it before, and I didn't read it out. So.
Oh yes, I did see Henrik say something about that earlier, and then I forgot to follow it up.
Same. I meant to mention it, but
this was done in Eagle. So the process now, I'm going to switch views in just a moment to the microscope.
DefPom says I used serial from LoRa into ESP32, and the ESP32 used SPI to the 5500 to connect to the network, and the Wi-Fi isn't used. It's only backup in case of network failure.
Okay.
Oh dear.
So
Johnny just gifted 5 Superhouse TV memberships.
Wow. I'm not even sure how that works.
Well, the main problem is...
so let's talk about this.
The main problem is all of the stuff I was reading just went straight up the page because all this green suddenly is showing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Richard Parrott, welcome to Silver Supporter. So that's what that star is, Silver Supporter.
That is really generous.
This is what you were going to say, you were going to talk about, you were saying.
Yes, but before I do, I'm just going to explain what I'm doing right now. So what I'm doing is this board has now been through reflow. You can see that the joints are soldered, and I'm just doing a visual inspection because there are certain things...
You don't want things connecting, yeah.
Yeah, things might have tombstoned, parts might have moved out of place, and there will be flaws here and there, and I saw one a second ago. I've just got to find it again. It was back over here. Okay, here's a good example. This resistor, this one right here, that solder joint on the left is fine. This solder joint on the right is not. That end of the chip is actually floating just slightly above the solder joint, so I need to manually solder that.
And it's upside down.
Yeah, and it's upside down. That's a pain. I'll have to turn it around.
Oh, so OCD, and that camera's playing up again. It's got that funny crosshairs.
Oh yeah, the little menu thing. So what I do at this stage basically is just a visual scan over the board and make sure that things are doing what they're meant to, and just touch up joints like that. On the 2D view that you get from the camera through the microscope, you probably would have had trouble detecting that that joint was not good. But through the eyepieces, because I've got stereo view, I've got proper depth of field, it's much easier to tell that sort of thing. So the things I really need to pay attention to are the fine pitch parts. Oh, that one sort of moved across sideways a bit. There's that QFN, that looks okay. And down here around the W5500.
Scott Miller says he saw a solder ball.
Yeah, there are a few solder balls around. I flicked a few off, but I'll head back over here and find one again. I think there was one near the QFN. Just there. There are a couple of little solder balls there. Nothing that's going to cause any problems. That all looks okay. There are some solder balls just
Apparently
above that
this
1 meg
concept
resistor.
came from Twitch, they're all talking about in the background. This is a Twitch idea that has come across to YouTube.
Yeah.
The
Oh, the membership
whole
thing.
idea is that streamers get paid, which
Yes.
it's an interesting trick. But
Yeah, so the memberships, I enabled that yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. It was a recent thing. Sorry, I'm just looking for it. Where did my tissue go? So as
Johnny's member number 1.
oh,
I'm going back up a fair way to find that, but yeah, it's like I'm trying to read back because I've missed so much. And it's
Yeah.
the only job I've got, and I'm missing it.
you had one job.
That's what I was thinking. It's a bit of a meme, though.
Yeah.
Trying not to do memes.
So I'm just going to reflow the pins down this side of the WisNet chip. I think it might be all okay, and the other sides all look good, but I'm just having trouble seeing if these joints are all good. So
Yes, me. Sorry about the yawniness, peeps. I hope it's not coming out too loud at your
there we
end.
go. All those pins are fixed now.
Cable tie, it only took 2 years to use up a bag of 10K. That's
A bag?
from Scott Miller, yeah, he's saying, yeah.
How many? What is a bag though?
Yeah, well,
I recently replaced the 10K reel on Mick'll Make It, which is 5,000 of them, and I think that was the. Oh yeah, that joint doesn't look good.
she says this live stream has no join button. I'm sure it did when I was looking at it full screen.
I keep forgetting. Okay,
Yeah, it's got a join button down below the screen if you're not maximised, next to subscribed. Who's talking about that? Usually, Aaron was saying usually there's a join button.
yeah.
I can see it. Maybe you've already joined, Aaron.
So anyway, the point is, as many of you know, I'm going through life changes at the moment. And I've got this is a subject that I've been avoiding talking about publicly. I've talked to a few people privately about it, but my wife and I are now separated, and I'm no longer at the superhouse. Right now, I am in a self-contained flat at my sister's house, but that is not a long-term solution. So fairly soon, I'm going to be looking for a place to live, and so I'm going to have more expenses and life changes and all that sort of thing. So I've been thinking about ways to be able to get by a little better, and so I recently turned on memberships. So I've already got Patreon and Coffee, and what was the other one? GitHub subscriptions.
You'll have to come out and live at Ballarat. I've got a room spare. It's 10 minutes to go.
Okay. Well, we're just about ready to power this up, but I need to put...
DefPom says he sees a join button. Cable tie, have to do the smoke test on this board first.
Yes, that's right. We can't leave without doing the smoke test. So what I'm going to do is put in just the jack that goes in here, the power connector.
Just see if it can cope with 5 volts, eh?
I'm going to see if it'll cope with 12 volts.
Cable tie says smoke, 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 a smoke signal. Yeah, okay. Stephen W. with the workshop now, you could feasibly get into an apartment to keep the costs down.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I don't need much.
Yeah, separations suck from DefPom. They've been there too. It takes a couple of years to get over it. Yeah. Peter Lawler, I think we're going to be a bit late. I don't think so. Jono's got to go. And it's not the only. I think, that's why I'm giving him countdown. It's 9 minutes to go. I'm policing him more than you usually do, Peter. Aaron says not on iPad or iPhone, maybe an Apple thing. Well, I'm on Jono's Apple. What is this machine again, John?
It's a MacBook.
MacBook, and it's showing join on that.
All right,
Henrik, and all the projects and superhouse things you made there. What happens? And we were talking about this last week, weren't we, John?
With what?
What happens with all the superhouse stuff? I mean, you were talking about, because you revisited some of the, what happens when a die kind of, that was being discussed.
Yes.
And I think there's more to it. I don't know the personality of your wife. I've never, as I said, really met her or anything. But how does she feel about the automation in the house, and does she want to keep it? She might feel that that's part of you that she wants to get rid of.
That may well be the case. Yes. So, got some sex from Johnny Bergdahl, thank you.
Wow.
Right.
It's always good to get free sex, isn't it, John?
Mitchell said, "Oh, news, I have built a circuit to replace the PoE module you have. Once I get boards, I'll upload the schematic." That is really interesting. Thanks, Mitchell.
Cool.
So...
it's AF support. Yeah, good. ATAF.
Yeah, so this, for context, this is the module that Mitchell is referring to.
Peter's going to go try it on his iPhone to see if it says join.
So this is a module that...
7 minutes left.
Thank you. Connects to an Ethernet network. You send 48 volts, give or take, into it, and it gives you a fixed voltage output. This particular one is 12 volts output. You can get them in different versions, like 5 volts, 3.3 volts, etc.
Have you got that powered now?
I do not, but I'm about to. Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's see if any smoke comes out.
To get the phone and zoom in so you can see where the smoke comes from?
No, what I'm going to do this in a very controlled way. So right now, this lead, in fact, I'm going to see if I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to take this overhead camera.
Yeah, you need to see where the smoke goes to as well.
And, yeah, give the overall view.
Should I grab a fire extinguisher?
No. So I've got 12 volts set, and I'm going to set the current limit to 200 milliamps.
This is the equivalent of using a light globe to turn it on slowly, eh?
Exactly. So,
but that'll be plenty to get the basic circuits running, won't it?
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's not going to be anything even pulling any power. It's just to see if the voltage regulators fire up. So here we go. I'm going to hit the button.
It's got lights.
Wow. We're pulling through 30 milliamps, which is kind of to be expected because it's illuminated a couple of things.
That's a very bright LED. Is that only...
It is.
It must have more than 5 milliamps going through it to be that bright.
Yeah, there's possibly something wrong. So now it is time to get the multimeter onto here and check the voltage rails. So okay, let's go straight to the end of the chain. The connector here, the quick connector, has a ground and a 3.3 volt connection on it. Now, unfortunately, despite all of the hard work of so many people to do the interface for the multimeter, you can't see the view on the multimeter.
Henrik wants to give you all his money, but if he didn't need it, he says.
Oh, well, thank you, Henrik. But...
Is it using a transformer for isolation? Yeah, this is all isolated, isn't it? I used to work on isolated systems when I was working on computer monitors and TVs and stuff, because you have to, because quite a bit of energy in there.
Not have. No, which way? I want. This is where I need to look up the. I need to look up the schematic and figure out where things are that I can actually do test points from.
You had the schematic up there a minute ago.
Yeah, I did.
Peter Lawler, Aaron Knox, I closed the chat window so I could see the channel info at the bottom of the video. It says See Perks, navigate to the channel page itself. See Perks is there, YouTube version 17.39.5. Mitchell R, do it yourself in the ghetto. If they work, maybe, but it will most likely be open sourced. So he's referring to those power over Ethernet things.
Yep. Right, so what it looks like to me is this is not working. That's my first assessment. So I need to get the schematic up. Let's have a look at...
So in your experience, the green LED's not normally that bright because it's shorting out somewhere?
There is something weird going on. We're not getting anything on the 3.3 volt rail, and I actually I don't even know where the 5 volt rail is. So I think that might be the 5 volt rail. Let's turn on single layer mode. Yeah, there's the 5 volt rail, and there's ground. So this switch mode regulator circuit that is right here has the 12 volts coming in as a starting point. Where does it go? 12 volts goes to that diode. So first thing is, do we get 12 volts on this side of the diode?
I'm just going to have a look underneath it.
Yeah.
There's nothing shorting out anything. No. Okay. So because I was looking at the circuit, the way things underneath, the tracks that go underneath it, and thinking, you could easily get like a tiny little bit of something.
Yeah, because we're on a current limited power supply, it wouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't let any smoke come out.
No, but it'll make it not function properly.
No, that's right. And the fact that we're only pulling 30 milliamps.
Yeah, their cable's whinging that the UT61E on screen display is not functioning. And I agree.
Yes.
I'm voting another upvote for that.
All right, here is some backstory to that.
We spent months doing that.
My 11.7. Okay, this is good. This is working. All right. So what we've got 12 volts coming in here on the outside of this protection diode. So that then goes to...
Peter's demanding more smoke.
If I turn up the current, it's not going to...
Need to merge in those UT61 changes. UT16? Wow. UT61. Oh, he must have done a typo.
5 volts there. So what we're expecting to see is 5 volts on this...
Henrik saying measure all the caps, MB. Measure all the caps. I think there's some strategy to that. 2 minutes 30. Yeah, we're down by 1 minute to something now.
And I've got, oh, nice. I actually have 5 volts.
4.99 something.
Oh, hang on, it just went away. What was going on with that? Yeah, I've got
4.962 volts.
The 5 volt rail is alive. That's a good sign. All right, well, maybe it's working better than I expected. So then that makes this the input. So this is the same thing. This is the input to the 3.3 volt regulator. It's right there.
You probed the wrong pins on the 12C header, apparently. My board's no longer smoke.
Oh, I did too. I did too.
Scott Miller says his boards don't smoke, they vape now. They're modern. Oh dear. You know, vaping's worse for you than smoking.
Who was it that pointed out I was probing the wrong pads? Because
Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Good on you, Simon.
We have 3.3 volts on the 3.3 volt rail.
Gavin Jackson, stay tuned for next week's exciting episode.
So we have voltage. What this means is...
Cable tie says 12 tick, 5 tick, 3.3 question mark. But
no, 3.3 is tick. Yes.
So yeah, he's a few seconds ago. Have you got the UT61E and John's Wi-Fi board yet? Aaron said. So who's he asking? Have you got the UT61E and John's Wi-Fi board yet?
All right.
Isn't that what you're working on?
I'm going to leave this and talk to the camera for a minute in the last little bit of time we've got left.
Yeah, well, because we've got 6 seconds left.
We'll go a little bit over time. So that never happens.
Yeah, okay. First.
Recapping where we've got to. the board is assembled apart from the through-hole parts and the header for the Raspberry Pi. So both the voltage regulators are working. We've got the 5-volt rail, we've got the 3.3-volt rail. That is a very good sign. So the next stage from here is I will put on the other headers and mount the Raspberry Pi, and then after that I'll have to do some software jiggery-pokery to get the W5500 overlay working, and that work has already been done. I've gone blank on who it is. Someone in Discord did a whole lot of prep work for this project and set up the overlay for Raspbian to be able to work with the W5500 on the second, I think it was on the second SPI bus. So yeah, we're a long way. We're basically largely ready to do the testing. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to wait until next week. Maybe we can continue it on the live stream. I might do it beforehand. But where was I going with this? Memberships, and there was... oh, that's right. Yes. So this is tying into the whole thing about the UT61E on screen. The problem I have is that I am now doing this live stream using the ATEM because I was having problems with OBS trying to do everything on my computer. It was falling over really badly. The problem I have is that I don't have enough inputs on this ATEM. I really need at least 6, preferably up to 8. So I need the ATEM Extreme, like the Mini Extreme, which has got 8 inputs. And the other problem is that I can't overlay enough. There are things called DVEs, and it's also referred to as super source, where you have multiple inputs and then you can overlay picture in picture. So if I go to that view, for example, we've got the overhead camera as the main canvas, and then we have a second camera feed, a second HDMI feed as the little thing here as the face camera. But I can't put a second thing on screen because this ATEM only supports a single DVE, so we can only do one overlay channel.
Can't you daisy chain 2 of them? I suppose you don't have 2 of them.
No, I don't have 2 of them. And also that doesn't give enough flexibility. The model up, the Extreme, supports 4 DVEs, and this is the cool bit. What that would allow me to do, so when I go to when I do the intro and the outro video, that's actually coming out of OBS, being captured via HDMI, but OBS is running on an external laptop. And what I want to do is essentially green screen the UT61 overlay in OBS and feed it in so that I can have it on screen here. Because what I really want here is to be able to have something like front camera, the overhead camera, and instruments. I want the multimeter, and I want my lab power supplies, and ideally I want to be able to pull in the Crow and possibly other devices like signal generator and whatever else. And I can composite all of those in OBS on the laptop, green screen it in and overlay it using the ATEM, but I need more HDMI inputs. So anyway, that's the summary of all of that. I'm very limited right now in terms of what I can composite onto the screen to get this working. So in the future, yes, sometime I would like to get an ATEM Extreme.
Peter was saying it's beer o'clock, and I don't think we can afford beer.
I don't like beer.
No, I'm not keen on it. I don't mind it occasionally, but it costs money, and it makes you feel funny later. Mm-hmm. Alcohol's not good.
Yeah, it's not. Firmware change to the adapter. Mitchell is suggesting NDI inputs over a network. Yeah, but then there's a whole lot of extra hardware as well. Doing NDI is a bit of a pain. Oh, Johnny just gifted 5 memberships. Another 5. Wow.
I'm getting cold. Thank you, Johnny.
Yes. So wrapping up my thoughts about this, that is very, very generous about this thing. So what I've been looking at is how sorry, my brain skipped a beat. I've been looking at ways to set up financial support. It's really what it comes down to. It's something that I really hate talking about, and I don't like the whole
it's
thing
hard
of
asking
promoting.
for money.
It is really hard.
But you've got to get paid.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the generosity of everybody that supports by Patreon and GitHub and on Coffee, and the fact that, like, the computer that I'm doing this from right now was bought by you folk, which is amazing. I really, really appreciate that. So the fact that there are people that are willing to pay for membership through YouTube, that is a really cool thing, and it's fantastic. So where am I going with that? I think I'm going to need to wrap it up, but
just
yeah,
I wouldn't mind some feedback too.
slide on in. You're out. Slightly outside
out of the picture. I don't know whether I've been much help, whether people like me coming along and joining in. I enjoy coming along here, but it's a by the time I drive home and back and everything, it's a 4 or 5 hour thing. But the thing is, Jono's a good friend of mine. You guys are all really cool to dag with, and I'm happy dagging in text, but it's kind of better to come along in person. Let me know if you prefer just Johnny or Jono and Crispian and yeah, see how you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I've got a lot to do down here, so it means I come past every couple of weeks anyway. So.
Well, Def Bomb said, I think it helped a lot to read the comments out. Yeah, particularly when I'm doing something away from the computer like this, having a second person is really, really handy.
I'm good at interjecting, but I think I might also be good at shutting up when necessary. Perhaps, I don't know.
DIY in the ghetto. Thank you. Yes, I see that you sent me a message. I haven't looked in Discord. I will do that, but thanks for the reminder.
I like to think I'm pretty good with the camera, but I probably am not, but I do like to think so. So thanks for that feedback, Aaron.
We need to get a better... Well, there are a few things. I've got...
It's all money, mate. It's all money.
I have this camera, like a head-mounted camera, which gives a first-person view. But once again, I can't bring that in without compositing it in through the ATEM and etc. So, yeah, what I really want to do is be able to add many, many more sources of video input so that we can do things like I'd like to be able to show live video feeds from the pick and place machines.
I need a pair of glasses. I
all
can't
those
read
sorts
that.
of things. Yeah. Yeah, and Mitchell says, do like Sion and have the speaker that says stuff. Yes, that's a really good idea. I should do that. Sion has got himself really well set up.
I've got to have a look at his live stream. For some reason, I've been avoiding doing so, but I don't know. It's probably, life catches up with you or gets in the way or something.
Yeah. Well,
lunch beckons, I think, John.
Lunch does beckon, but at least we can end with success. So far, we have a board.
Wait, I think I see smoke.
We have a board that is assembled apart from the through-hole parts to add, and both power supplies work on it. So we're well on the way. Hopefully next week we will have a working Wi-Fi access point, which would be fantastic. Oh wow, Bob just gifted 5 memberships as well. This is incredible.
I'm going to have to get my head around this membership thing. It's weird. Does anyone that's actually come here in person to be part of the stream automatically get a membership? How does that work?
No, it's a paid thing. But I see what you're saying. Yes. I don't know how that works, because what I'm seeing in chat here is just the end result. But from the point of view, maybe if you look in your view in chat, I don't know how you go about claiming a membership. So if someone has gifted one, go see if you can spot how to.
Well, there's a thing.
Claim a membership.
Member.
It's got a B5 up in the top left.
Buy a membership. Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah.
Gifted 5 minutes, allow gifts.
Random assignment.
If I put allow gifts on this channel, choose whether others can gift you a Superhouse TV membership 1 month. Public announced on this channel. So it's a monthly thing, geez. So yeah, it's like that. It's
Okay.
a little slidery thing. So
Yeah, Bob says random assignment, and Peter said thinks it auto assigns and guess it's by channel participation. Yeah.
So it's something that would expire too.
Yeah, it's a monthly membership, I believe. Yeah. Cool. So
Yeah, that's distracting.
yeah, I don't know what happens if there are memberships that have been gifted and I end the stream now. Do those ones go away? I very much...
Well, it said something about monthly, so they'll probably be there until the next couple of sessions, but it doesn't seem very...
Yeah, I don't know. It's all new to me. We'll figure it out.
It sounds like it could be a way to have an ongoing financial stream, but...
Exactly, that's the point of it. Yeah.
Interesting move by YouTube, because a lot of the stuff I've seen them doing, I wonder. I really wonder sometimes about where the heart is, but it could be a good thing. Don't know.
Hollow Cable Tie just used the little Steve icon because when I was setting up the memberships, I had the option of adding some emojis that could only be used by members, and I made Steve, a multimeter, and a gecko. The classic symbols.
You've seen the gecko I got on my...
Oh, there they are. Peter Lawler just did the gecko, the multimeter, and Steve.
You've seen the little gecko I got on the dash of my car, haven't you?
I don't know. Maybe. I'll check it out. There they go. All the emojis. Yes, Sion. This is not new to YouTube, it's only new to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I only turned it on like 2 days ago.
Sion, so far, so much further down the track.
Yeah. Okay, well, I am going to go, and thank you very much for coming along to the stream. Thanks to Chip for
thanks for having me,
the
Pete.
co-pilot. And next week, I still need to do Josh's unboxing. I really do want to get that.
About co-pilot. I think I might have been jockey or something like that.
Yeah. And I am going to hit the goodbye button. So thanks, everyone, and see you later.
Bye.